We're back.
Oh, we are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Twitching UpStream, which is literally my favorite show that comes out on Tuesdays because apparently Alf was canceled roughly 25 years ago.
For good reason.
Well, maybe. Who knows? We'll get to that on a whole different show at a different time and date. But anyway, if this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We are Some Nobodies. My name is Zach. This is Dylan over there, and we make a bunch of weird stuff. We are content creators. We're soon-to-be media makers. We are insert rhyme, Dylan.
Not Quakers.
We are definitely not Quakers. If you've been here before, like I said earlier, welcome back. What we do is we kind of create a whole bunch of weird stuff and show people how we do it and the stupid conversations we have while we're doing it. If you know our other show, Talking UpStream, we find our favorite creators and we sit down with them and we chat with them. We say, hey, why you do this? And hey, how you do this? And hey, why you do this? I think I already asked that, but that's usually how the show goes anyway. So if you like that kind of stuff, go check out our YouTube channel where we have a whole bunch of things over there. Last week's episode was Australia, Kincannon, awesome creator.
Yeah.
Apparently a pretty good LARPer also. And we'll get, whatever. But yeah, so last week we started working on a project again called Creature of Habit. And it was about a bunch of nuns that could also turn into werewolves, and things are getting pretty good and spicy there. And we'll get to that soon. But before we do that, obviously, I just want to jibber jabber about some absolute nonsense. Just because, hey, I need quality time with a friend. Who doesn't? You know what I mean? And like always, if you're hanging out in the chat, send us a message, throw us an emoji, and we'll try to decrypt it. Let us know what's going on in your world, and we will address it as such. But Dylan, so we saw Jurassic World Dominion.
Yes.
Jurassic Dominions.
Yes.
Dominion, right? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
Now, first, before we get into anything about the movie, not a good name.
No.
Dominion.
No, it's not.
But it could have been because of, I think that what the movie they were trying to promote to us was about dinosaurs in the world and how we have to live with them and how they're going to affect our daily life. And what we got was something way different.
It's like a globe-trotting, bug-centric. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie.
I mean, there's four storylines going on, and none of which I really cared about at all. So I think that our predictions, I forget what we predicted about this movie and how it was going to go, but I feel that I was way wrong. No talking dinosaurs.
Yeah, none of the dinosaurs talked. I did. Oh, that would have, honestly, I probably would have liked it more if they had gone like crazy route. Like, it doesn't matter. Don't keep things realistic. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're dinosaurs.
Have a dinosaur be like, do the no thing from Planet of the Apes 1? Is it 1?
Yeah, the end of the first one, yeah.
End of the first one, he says no. Don't. Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's not good.
Yeah, not good. Okay, so in other things though, tomorrow, Wednesday, is the season finale of Kenobi.
Yes.
Episode 6, which is going to be the end all, which should leave us right up until what we know is A New Hope. Are you caught up? Have you seen the first 5?
I've seen up to 5th episode. Yeah.
What are you thinking? Do you have any predictions of what's going to happen?
There will be one more face-off between Obi-Wan and Vader. Leia's going to get taken to Alderaan. I want Qui-Gon to show up as a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Reva's going to be alive.
Now, is Reva bad or good?
Gray, but good. Gray means good because you're not actively bad.
You're not bad, right?
I will like Kenobi. If I enjoyed episodes 1 through 4 as much as I enjoyed 5, I would like the show a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be any better, but I would have had a better time watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the Star Wars shows. I think they're pretty good. This one is a bit meandering. It is a bit sluggish, and I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with the pacing. I have a very specific issue with the story as presented, and that's the stakes.
Yeah.
I have a very, very specific issue with the stakes of the show because it's a prequel or an interlude or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So we know that all of these main characters, Obi-Wan, Leia, Luke, Vader, we know they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
We know that nothing, unless they were really bold and had like Leia die and then cloned her or something, like that would have been, nobody would have liked that, but it would have been at least a bold decision.
Yeah.
But the issue is that we have no stakes in the action. Anytime they have action where someone's life or limb is at risk, no stakes. We know they're going to be okay. Obi-Wan is never in mortal danger. Leia's never in mortal danger. Vader is never in mortal danger, and they do that in episode 5, where they know better than to have Reva even score a single hit on him.
Yeah,
we're doing spoilers at this point.
Yeah,
rewind 30 seconds so you can skip it. It's how spoilers work, right?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, and the fight is. I like the fight, and they have the good sense to not have Reva even get a single strike on, not even when he's distracted, not even a scuff on his armor.
Yeah,
they know better. But with Obi-Wan and Leia, they have them getting into these like life or death situations, and there are no stakes because we know it's not going to matter. So the alternative would be to make it a character study with a lot of character moments and a lot of like stuff like that. But instead, they do mostly action. We round back to it's just I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't care because I know they're okay. The one moment of like reverse foreshadowing, because Star Wars is all like, how did Han get his vest? How did Jar Jar get his vest? How did Mace Windu get his vest? It's all about clothing. For some reason, like Solo is just about how Solo got his wardrobe.
Yeah.
But they have Reva track their ship and let them go, which is a nice like call forward to A New Hope, A New Hope. When Leia goes as if she expected it, they let us go because they're tracking us.
Yeah, I think that the writing of this and the character development that they're linking everything together is smart. But you're right. Like I know for a fact nothing bad can happen to Leia yet. I know nothing bad can happen to Obi-Wan. Now there was that thing where Obi-Wan said that he might have a brother. Do you think they're going to come back to that?
No.
Okay.
Maybe in season 2, if they do a season 2, I hope they don't.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
It's just, man, I don't know. I wish I liked the show more.
Yeah.
But I have so many issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, but obviously, like I'm a Star Wars shill, so I'll consume anything.
It's content.
Yeah,
it's more Star Wars content.
I will consume and forget content in a heartbeat. Just watch me. All right. So also on Disney Plus, we have Ms. Marvel that I'm having a really good time with. I think it's very entertaining. Not very high stakes just yet. Have you watched the first 2 episodes?
I haven't watched any of it.
Okay.
I am catching up on Obi-Wan and Stranger Things, and I was watching Barry. I'll probably watch it after I watch The Boys season 3.
Nice. Yeah. So far it is fairly YA. It has that Spider-Man like No Way Home kind of feel to it. I am liking it. I would say it's so well cast that Kamala is such a fun character just to kind of hang out with. And the last episode, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they really started hinting to the next level of threat against her. Because the first one, you just get a sense of who she is and the world they live in. And at the end of it, I was like, well, I wonder who the big bad of this is going to be. And then at the end of the second episode, you're like, oh, okay, so they're expanding more on her story. You're getting more of her vibe and her power. but they still haven't really talked about the big bad, and I'm getting excited to see who that's going to be. So yeah, tomorrow's pretty good.
It's just going to be Gore. It's just going to be a surprise appearance of Gore, and he's just going to brutally slice everybody apart.
Yeah, what a solid segue. The next MCU movie to come out is Thor 4. Gore's
starring Gore.
Yeah, Gore's poor shadowing sword. Now, with the latest trailer that just came out, they show Gore demolishing a moon. And there's some speculation that this is the Earth's moon. Obviously, like MCU's 616 Earth. Because in the comics, I don't know how much you know about Gore in the comics.
Minimal.
So Gore goes on this tear for a while. The whole point of Gore is that, you know, he is a very religious person. Him and his family, you know, worship all the gods. And then, you know, his son dies, and he just kind of looks at God. He's like, why are you letting this happen? You can do whatever you want. And that's when he realizes the gods are only worried about themselves. So then his wife dies pretty much after she's like, you know, you're just kind of a piece of shit, just like gods are too. So he goes on his terror, and he decides that he's going to kill every single god. So he goes and he finds every god, and he slays the god using the very first bit of symbiote in the universe, which is the Null Sword.
The Necro Sword is what
it's called. It's called All Black. It's a beautiful sword, but yeah, it is the first bit of symbiote that is in the MCU timeline. Now, at some point, Gore realizes that he's just spending way too much time going and finding gods and slaying gods, and he finds a way to send a bomb through time. So what he does is he sends his sword and a whole bunch of shit, and he calls it a god bomb. And he needs 2 moons worth of shit to like put together to make this god bomb. But what it does is that it's a symbiote bomb that goes through time, specifically locating gods throughout existence, and then zapping some symbiote onto them and turning them bad. So, which is pretty interesting. And then when I saw him destroying that moon, it's like, wait, is he making a god bomb? Which would be pretty interesting. I don't know if they can pull it off in the MCU. But do you have any ideas of what this is going to be about based on spoilers and your limited knowledge on Gore?
Thor is trying to find his place in the universe. Valkyrie is trying to find her place in the universe. Guardians are there briefly. They go to Olympus. Gore kills a bunch of gods. They don't know what's doing it yet. They're like, hey, this big monster god is dead, and we don't know what caused it. And Thor's like, huh, that's weird. Sword wounds, black sword wounds. This reminds me of a story I've never brought up until now. Or Zeus is like, this reminds me of a story that you've never heard of until now. They talk about Gore a little bit. Gore blows up a moon. They fight. It's stylish because it's Taika Waititi. It's divisive because it's Taika Waititi doing a Marvel movie. I'll probably like it because it's a breath of fresh air. Unless it's too much like Ragnarok. If it goes too far, I might wind up being contrarian just by virtue of my own failures as a person.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say, I am 100% in favor of blowing up the moon in stories. Real life, I think it's a distinctive move. It makes a worldwide noticeable change. They do it in The Expanse to Mars, and it's great. Not the Earth moon. They blow up Deimos, one of the Martian moons, and it's cool. It's like they changed our sky, and then one of them has like a Martian flag, and they like spray paint over one of the moons with a bunch of little circles. And it's like that's supposed to be that's supposed to be a joke. He goes, well, I think it's pretty funny. It's a good show. You should watch The Expanse all the way through. Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of fights. Christian Bale's going to be a good villain who dies at the end or never shows up again in the MCU.
Yeah, because, you know, if you think about like a god bomb, that could be a way to bring Loki back into it. Because if it just finds Loki, he would need to find, you know, Thor. So yeah, I'm just curious, sure. Do you think they're going to make this the next multi-movie bad guy? Or is this a one-off?
I think he's a one-off. I think thematically he only really fits in with Thor's story. He might show up in Guardians 3. That wouldn't surprise me too much, but I don't have a whole lot of expectation for Gore to be around. Plus, I don't think Christian Bale's the type of guy that'll be like, I'll do more movies than one.
I'll do 3 movies.
Yeah, right. Well, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe specifically, when he's not the star.
Yeah, well, he could be if he's like the main bad guy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see him being. Plus, all the casting rumors say they're bringing Jonathan Majors in Quantumania in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that they would have a multi-movie villain before they introduce the villain.
So are Celestials considered gods in the MCU? Even small G?
I don't know. Small G, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Considering they seem to be I think they might be above gods. Like they're the progenitors of like gravity and matter. Like that's beyond like Zeus with his little plastic lightning bolt.
Because if Peter Quill is a half celestial, that would make him a half god, right?
Yeah.
Which I wonder if that would kind of throw into it, which is why they're into it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested in it. I think that the idea of, Jane Foster's Thor, I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
Like having that idea of like when you're a hero, you can be healed. When you're not a hero, you have riddling cancer. I think that's cool.
And there's the question as well for Thor, where it's like, I'm Thor, but if Jane has the hammer, she has the powers of Thor. What does that make me?
Yeah.
And so, Taika Waititi does a really good character. He does good character work. So
yeah.
Other
than MCU stuff, is there anything movie-wise you're looking forward to?
Dune Part 2.
When is that slated for release yet? Have they have a date?
2023, not a specific date.
Okay.
I imagine 2023, it might be delayed to 2024, depending on what they plan to do with it.
Now, is that a thing where they filmed it all at once?
No.
Okay, so they are film. Do you know if filming has started yet?
I think they've started production like recently. Nice. Pre-production.
Okay, cool.
Because Villeneuve was like, I'm going to film the first one, and I'm going to call it Dune Part 1, and you fuckers are going to greenlight it after it's released. And they did.
Yeah, what a bold move.
When we saw it in theaters, it was Dune Part 1, and Part 2 hadn't been greenlit yet. And it was like, bold move.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. I didn't even know. We didn't know it was a Part 1 until we saw it in the theaters.
I did, but I had been following the production really closely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, but that's so far away.
Now, there have been some casting announcements very recently as well. Some characters who are big in the novel and the setting who don't show up in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
First off, we have the Emperor himself, Showdown the Fourth. Now, I believe I texted you the casting for that one. Christopher Walken is playing Emperor Shaddam. I don't know. Shaddam. I think it's Shaddam in the Lynch movie.
It's pronounced Shaddam.
Shaddam. Paul, you have to send the spice.
You gotta watch out for the spice.
Well, it's really, really funny because the Fatboy Slim song, the music video he's in, which,
Rockefeller Skank.
No, it's Weapon of Choice.
Oh, Weapon of Choice, yeah.
The music video has Christopher Walken dancing in it, and some of the lyrics in Weapon of Choice are "Walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm," which is from Dune. So it's a weird little circular thing that's happened.
You gotta look out for the worm.
I found the lyrics for the Dune verse, like the entire verse is Dune. Don't be shocked by the tone of my voice. Check out my new weapon of choice. Don't be shocked by the tone of my voice. And then walk without rhythm, it won't attract the worm. So there's a lot of Dune references in that song, which is interesting. Now they also cast the Emperor's daughter, Princess Irulan Carino, who winds up, spoiler alert, also marrying Paul as an arranged marriage because it mirrored. Oh, whoops. There's a whole lot of circular time stuff in there. I apologize.
What about Zendaya? They don't get together?
Spoilers.
Well,
kind
obviously. Well, he gets married to somebody else.
Do you care?
Well, I mean, no.
Jessica and Leto weren't married. She was his consort.
Jessica and Leto,
Paul's parents, they weren't married.
Really?
No. Technically, Duke Leto Atreides was not married.
So she's like a concubine?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So
he's a real
the Emperor
rat
can take
bastard.
concubines.
Yeah.
Well, it was politically arranged because she's a member of the Bene Gesserit and they can't get married because they're It was political. They were very much in love, confirmed by internal monologues in the book.
Okay.
But politically, it was a bad move for him to would have married her. I mean, welcome to Dune talk.
No.
Welcome to talking up Dune.
Dune news.
Dune news. But they cast Princess Irulan, and it's Florence Pugh, friend of the show.
Nice. Friend of the show.
It can't. She has to say it's not true for it to not be true. And then they've cast. Now Baron Harkonnen has a second son. We saw Rabin, the Beast, played by Batista, and he has a second son who is named Feyd-Rautha, who is kind of Paul's dark counterpart. And Feyd-Rautha will be played by Austin Butler. If you don't recognize that name, relatively new on the scene, but he is playing Elvis in the movie Elvis, directed
the guy
by
from
Baz Luhrmann.
Dude, what a piece of shit movie. Elvis was such a racist. He was such a turd. And they're gonna, because now, like, because his the rights are out there in the open, so people can use the image of Elvis without being sued, which is pretty interesting. It happened this year, and then all of a sudden Buzz Luhrmann was the first one to put out a biography starring Buzz Luhrmann. But yeah, that guy is a really good actor, though. I mean, he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as one of he was one of like the creeps, one of the Manson people. And he's in a bunch of stuff too. That's
a good get then. Well, he's strange looking, so he looks like a Harkonnen.
Yeah, true.
And if he plays creepy and sinister, he's perfect for Feyd-Rautha, who is like the Harkonnen with good PR.
Oh, good. Yeah.
He's like a gladiator fighter. He's like a knife fighter. He loves killing people in the arena. And Dune backstory. Paul was supposed to be born a woman, but because Jessica loved Leto so much, she gave him a son as an heir. And if Jessica had been born a woman, he and Feyd-Rautha would have been arranged to be married and have a kid, and that kid would have been Muad'Dib.
Wait, if Jessica had a daughter, wouldn't that daughter still be in the Bene Gesserit or no?
Yes, but that is.
But you said the Bene Gesserit don't marry.
Maybe the Bene Gesserit do marry, but there was a political reason that they weren't. That Jessica and Leto weren't. But no, I don't know. I don't remember. But she decided to have a son instead. And so she threw off the entirety of like a 1,000-year plan that the Bene Gesserit had been working on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Paul inherited the powers of the Bene Gesserit despite the fact that he was male. So they cut the prophecy short by a generation, and it really fucks up the galaxy over time.
And then
it gets better.
So they invented a white savior.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan.
Well, I mean, not Timothy Chalamet.
No, but I mean, Paul would have been half Guatemalan.
What is a Guatemala in Duneverse?
Whatever the equivalent is for.
He's a Harkonnen or whatever.
No, he's an Atreides.
Yeah, an Atreides. Those are white. They're just white people.
I guess. Sure.
They dress like. The frilly collars and shit.
Yeah, they got the high collars.
Yeah. Is there any movie come out this year that you're excited to see? Because like we let Lightyear go, and that wasn't that big of a deal, and I think that really flied under the radar.
I heard it was bad.
Yeah, not good. The next movie. Nope. Yeah,
that is both an answer, but also not a negative. It's the movie Nope.
Yeah,
Nope. Which is funny because normal. Do you have anything to say to the people at home? Nah. Nope.
Yep. Nope. Yeah, I'm excited about that. All right, cool. So let's get into what we do on the show, which is just create some content and jibber jabber and put some words onto the digital page. We do jib jab a little bit.
Put my dad in a jib jab, so it's like he's alive again.
Is that a wrestling move?
No, it's a reference. I think you should leave.
Oh, okay. Dude, that sure has got the most intricate pattern I've ever seen. All right. So before we get going, obviously, there's a lot of people we want to thank for keeping us motivated and keeping us pushed. And if you want to be the people that we talk about, or anyone who just helps motivate us, make some more content for you or for us, really, you can go check out our Patreon page, which is obviously Patreon / Some Nobodies. We have Sarah Takacic, we have Red Flanagan, we got Tanya Sheck and our East Coast friends, and then just some other people that we thank because they spend some time with us. Obviously, Jack Billings presents and all that weird, creepy shit they do with their shirts off. So go check out his Instagram or his Twitter page. Michael Colby and all those jerks over there, Jack Billings, that create content that I would say is equivalent to ours. It is almost as funny as ours. It is just as engaging as ours, and sometimes it even sounds like ours.
It's the same amount. It's the same quality stretched over way longer.
Yeah, they really
like ours is like a real quick trip. Theirs is like a nice steady high.
Yeah. Ours is like when you get the good DMT and you're like, wow, that was 5 minutes of some amazing shit. His is like when you get bad acid and you got to live with this for like 30 years.
Well, but then like, it's like a 12-hour trip. But I mean, the first 4 hours and the last 3 aren't bad. He's not one. They're not watching.
Seriously, it's that middle 7 to 15 is a real slog. No, I'm kidding. Stuff's amazing. Really good stuff. So go check out Jack Billings if you're listening to this. Also go check out B Highland. They got some good stuff over at Deep Lore. And also
is this podcast a JoJo reference?
Yeah, JoJo reference. They are one of the 4 reasons that we have an award-winning show called No Time to Binge, along with myself and Dylan, and then Some Nobodies. That makes up the 4 reasons that show is successful. Anyway, I'm gonna let Dylan kind of get us caught up with where we were last time, what we want to get done with the rest of this episode, and then possibly what we're going to try to finish up solely. And I'm gonna grab a drink of water real fast.
Oh, sure.
I'll be right back. Are you okay?
Oh, I thought you were gonna leave, and I was gonna be left making a funny face at being left.
I mean, I'm gonna leave, but I don't. I just don't
get out of here.
I don't want you.
So for people at home who might be watching for the first time, go back and watch last week's episode first, and then come back. But yeah, Talking UpStream, our companion show where we interview creatives and then we pitch them ideas and kind of interview them on how they might take it forward. Season 2, episode 13, featuring Kamika Hartford. Go check her stuff out. Gray Zone, that sort of thing. We had an idea. I pitched an idea that was called Creature of Habit. The idea: during the Mexican-American Civil War, a convent near the border is taken over as an unwilling garrison for a squad of deserters leaving the front. After an evening of escalating rowdiness which threatens the nuns, the soldiers are beset by a vicious, inhuman creature, seemingly intent on protecting the denizens of the convent. Now, they must survive the night while being hunted by a half-wolf monster immune to their conventional weaponry. Along the way, they find out this might not be the first time this fate has befallen visitors to this particular convent. It's called Creature of Habit because it's about werewolves that turn into nuns, and vice versa. Nuns that turn into werewolves. Last week we spent some time just kind of getting some ideas down because we're at the barest outline phase right here. So we had this idea. It takes place in a thunderstorm. A group of soldiers, 2 rival soldier groups maybe, go up to the convent, or one group of soldiers shows up at the start. One group arrives while the storm is raging. They're warned off. There's maybe a third group of small soldiers actually serve in the army. They come the next day after the storm lets up, maybe. There's some tension between the deserters and the people on the other side, but nobody wants to actually fight. Except maybe some hardcore, like, go get them people. They're like, I'm ready to rumble. Let's rumble. Yeah, rumble in the nunble. So yeah, some people show up at a convent. They start getting kind of rowdy, maybe. Some tensions rise. And then a massacre occurs where someone, you think someone's screaming, and it's like, oh, they're just having a soldier of a good time back in the 1800s.
What is these phrases you're using?
I'm just riffing.
This is one soldier of a good time.
I was left without supervision.
I'm back.
I've already started. This stone is rolling downhill.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ain't no moss on this boulder. But yeah, tensions rise between the fights. There's a massacre that goes on because they think that they're just getting handsy and a woman screaming. And then you're like, wait, that's not a woman screaming. That's a man screaming in a really high register because he's being torn apart by this wolf creature. And then everybody freaks out because he's being torn apart by a wolf creature. The soldiers are like, we have to protect the nuns, but the nuns don't want none of it. Their knives and bullets are ineffective because werewolves, of course, are only harmed by silver. And then we had kind of prattled on a little bit about ideas. What if the werewolves get recruited to the war? The convent is downhill from an old silver mine, so the residue in the water helps them keep themselves under control. Maybe they have one nun that isn't drinking the water, and so they're like, that's our contingency plan, our nun-tingency plan. We did arrive on the idea that they are not nuns, they're disguised as nuns, which fits the theme of like nobody here being what they think or appear to be. Especially, on multiple levels. Not only are they not necessarily nuns, they're not even necessarily human. Or they're human and they're cursed. I don't know. Maybe they're celibate to end a cursed bloodline. Maybe they're descendants of conquistadors suffering an ancient Aztec curse. Act as beasts, and beasts you shall be under the full moon. Gonna write that one down.
You don't have to.
No?
Wait, act as beasts and beasts you shall be?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like a curse?
Yeah, sure.
So they start acting like beasts, they'll just become beasts.
And so it turned them into werewolves. They're conquistadors, which were notoriously violent and mean. And so the Aztecs were like, you're acting like animals, so you're gonna be animals. Here's my curse.
Did they have female conquistadors?
I don't think so.
Conquistadettes?
Conquistadoras? The explorers?
Conquistador, the explorer.
Were there any female conquistadors?
Nope.
Well.
Wait, what? Okay, so what if this is like that one weird group of female conquistadors that was like looking for something and came across the curse?
So Castilian law banned Spanish women from traveling to America unless they were married and accompanied by a husband. Women who traveled thus include, and it names several, some conquistadors married, and there's no quotation mark on the Wikipedia article, but they married Native American women.
Ooh.
I mean, it's really, we shouldn't be sugarcoating what the conquistadors did, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure there wasn't that many Catholic Native American
nice Catholic weddings.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be interesting that all of the descendants are women.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like we don't necessarily have to explain it. It could be just a small group of them, like maybe like not even a dozen of them.
Well, I don't even know if it's necessarily explaining it for like, the audience or the viewers or anything. More like for us to understand like who they are and what their motives are. Because like let's say that they were like quote married to conquistadors, which is clearly not of their own volition,
right?
Then they would have like, maybe it's a group of women that murdered their husband to get away, and then somehow they either caught this curse or something. Or if they were like a group of Joan of Arcs for the conquistadors, they're like, well, fuck it, we want to be single women, but we're also badasses, let's go tear some shit up. And then to be able to fight with, to be able to maybe even fight the men themselves, they acquired this curse or this power to turn them into werewolves.
I like the idea that they've been cursed with some sort of like half beast immortality. Yeah. If these are the original people, like, yeah, if they slaughtered the conquistadors and maybe they had some manner of cursing them. I don't know. Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
Do they get the curse lifted at the end?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't even think they want it lifted. I think they're cool with it. I think the problem that we have in this story, not the problem, but like, the in story problem is that these women are fine being alone. And whenever they get kind of attacked, they wolf out and take care of their shit. It just so happens that they have to do that during a war also. So I'm really liking that aspect of the story.
I like the idea. Yeah, curse doesn't get lifted.
Yeah,
at the end.
Yeah, nor do they want it lifted. They just want to be left alone.
Convent is remote. Yeah, they have a remote like mountain convent, and so they're like, we were not expecting visitors. We should not have. You shouldn't be here. Yeah. And it's like, and they're like, we're gonna stay here because we're dudes and we need a place to rest, and you're gonna let us. And the nuns are like, the mother superior or whoever runs the convent is like, no, you really should leave. And then the one who actually runs things, the social authority figure, is like, they want to stay.
Yeah,
let's let them stay. Yeah.
Yeah, like our oath says, if they need safe shelter, We have to give it to him. Isn't that right, Lisa? Wide eyes.
Lisa Wide Eyes.
Well, that's not her last name. It's just
Oh,
that's just a nickname the group gave her. It's mostly because of she's got small lids.
She's the abbess or the mother superior.
Yeah,
Cool.
Lisa. Solid name for what the 1300s or whatever, 1200s.
Lisa, name 1800s. Let's see.
1800s? No, these are conquistadorians.
Oh, right. No, you're right.
Conquistanitas.
Well, it's also short for Elizabeth. It could be. And Elizabeth was an old name.
Oh,
and
yeah. That's a solid ass name.
It's used by a lot of Spain.
Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with that.
Lisa Elizabeth Wide Eyes.
Maybe they're all named Elizabeth, but they all go by different nicknames of Elizabeth, like Betty, Liz,
Beth,
Liza, Beth, Zabby,
Zabe.
I'm just looking at Elizabeth.
Yeah, no,
Eli,
Ellie, Ella.
Yeah, Ella. Yeah,
Ella.
see?
A. Okay.
Oh.
So we did figure out last week. We need to figure out a solid ending and some characters. I think we work on some characters first, so that way they might deliver us an ending.
Yeah. So I think that let's say the group of nuns is what, but I would say between like 6 and 10 at the absolute most.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think I split the difference. Say 8 nuns.
I was gonna say 8 nuns.
Oh, look at that. We're so in tune.
We're so in. I was gonna say in sync. Okay, so we have that, and then the group of I think that there probably should be 2 different groups of soldiers that come here. I see the first group of soldiers, maybe the way the storytelling goes, it looks like they came and left and they had like safe travels or whatever. But then when the second group gets there, maybe they see all the shit from the first group and it's like, why is there so many supplies here? And it's like, oh no.
They see tracks and they're like, this place has been visited recently.
Yeah.
Do we see tracks leading out? No. Be on the lookout. Like keep your guns ready.
Yeah, I'm into that. Or muskets or whatever it is these people have.
It would be probably
s'mores.
1840s, I think.
Yeah. Whatever this half sword, half fork is. A smork.
Smork?
Yeah.
Or
wait, that's actually the name of the wolf from Neverending Story. Oh wait, no, that's Zamork. His name's Zamork with a Z.
I mean, okay. Okay. In the 1840s, it would be flintlock rifles.
Oh yeah, the classic flintlock.
Flintlock.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. But it's the advent of percussion, like firing caps
and drums.
Drums were around for a long time before guns.
The advent of percussion, my friend. Thank you.
Well, I mean that's organized drumming.
Oh, organs and drumming. Got it.
Yeah. The Aztecs were very big on organs, so
yeah. Like,
so we have the first
stomachs and pianos.
We have a first bunch of soldiers. We have a second bunch of soldiers. Do we want a third bunch? Didn't we have an idea for one showing up later?
I mean, yeah, I guess maybe that's how it ends. Would be like maybe the third group coming. I would assume one of the group from the second gets away and comes with the third group, right? That seems like a thing.
Yeah.
One of the soldiers at least one has to get away. And then maybe at the end, we see the third group coming with the one who gets away. And it's like, look, seriously, guys, you do not want to go here. Trust me. And they're like, look at all these footprints heading this way and no footprints go out. And it's like, listen, you guys do not want, I got to stop with the walking. All right. So,
or the third group just happens to have one soldier who's informed on what this, unlike there are beasts that wear the shape of men and women. If what you're saying is true, then we need to go to this convent and wipe them out. And maybe they're a priest, like the
it's like a holy army.
The battalion's priest or something.
Yeah, maybe it's just some random like religious battalion, and they have a priest and they have like holy bullets.
I mean, it doesn't need to be holy; it just needs to be silver.
Oh, true. And holy. Well, then why is there a priest?
Because if they're the descendant of the Catholics who were conquistadors.
But if it's just silver that matters, what?
Because the priest is the one who takes the story seriously.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right, I'm into that. That makes sense. Is there a priest with the first group that is like trying to tell them to not go? And that's kind of how we get a little bit of exposition.
I don't think so. There could be a priest, but I think that could be like the priest who tries to pray and then his arms get ripped off.
I mean, because the conquistadors were like they did a lot of this for religious persecution, right?
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Or that was the Spanish Inquisition more, right?
I mean, they're kind of the same thing.
It's probably the same thing.
The difference is that one had funky helmets and the other had funny hats.
Oh yeah, like feather. There's always a feather in them, right?
But we could have that scene where the first priest is like, "Heavenly Father, your house of worships, save us," and the nun werewolf is like, "Pray to me," and then.
Isn't that like a Batman quote?
Swear to me.
But, yeah. Swear to me. Yeah. I swear to God. Swear to me. Ah! Who was that woman yelling over there?
It's Batman.
That wasn't a woman. That was a man. In a high pitched voice.
The only reason I said that is so that you can have like.
Well, I mean, these guys are probably sexist too, so it would.
Well, absolutely. We have. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the inciting incident is that they're like, well, we're all in here for the night. Might as well make a good time of it. They have an oath of celibacy. It's like, well, I don't. Yeah. And then it's like you hear a scream in the background as some soldiers are conversing. You hear a scream, and it's like, what's that? Oh, it's so and so getting, so and so's having a good time. Yeah. And then you hear a scream that is decidedly not a good time. And maybe it sounds like a dude. And it's like, hey, she's getting rough with them. And then they stand up and they look over in the corner and there's this beast, there's this humanoid wolf ripping someone apart. And everything stops.
Yeah. They're like, oh, wow. Our friend Eric was having sex with that beast.
And there's a record scratch. And it's like, well, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Our friend Eric brought a record player. He is a smooth criminal. All right, so what do you think is an ending for this? I don't think that these nuns should lose the curse or the power. They have no real arc. They just are, and then they're pushed on and aggressed on, and mansplained to, et cetera, and they're just holding their own. That's cool. So I'm assuming that it's that kind of horror ending where it doesn't really have an ending because it's still like an ongoing story kind of thing, right?
We could have like,
or do we do a thing where it's like like the guy who runs away from the second one finally gets to like the big boss and it's like, look, shit's crazy over here. Like, we got to stop this.
What if there was like, so they kill most of the first group. Some of the second group holds a resistance with the surviving members of the first group. One of the second group escapes. We think they get away. Roughly in the second act, the guy who escapes comes back with a third group, and the third group has a preacher, as a pastor, like a priest in there. It's like, you said they turned into wolf creatures? Yes. And your weapons had no effect on them? Of course. And he's like, thank you for your faith in our so-and-so. And he, they bring out a bunch of silver bullets. Or, he has a silver knife or something like that. Something that'll kill werewolves.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like they hold the convent under siege, maybe. And the nuns have to, the sympathetic soldier who gets turned into a werewolf to like help them fight off the first group.
Oh, okay.
What if they induce a transformation in him, hand him over as the cause of the curse, and he's like, no, it's not me, it's them. And the priest in the third group is like, nonsense, and they do the execution thing or something like that. And they're like, thank you for your service, your God smiles on you today. The third group leaves, and the priest and the nuns are like, ooh, we did it. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, I'm into that.
They sacrifice the sympathetic soldier to save their own secret.
Yeah. So we could just have like some of the first group are like found chained up, right? Or like held captive for some reason. and then the second group finds them, frees them. That starts their kind of big fight, along with that scene that you said. Because like if they're like the sympathetic person, maybe when they leave, they're like, no, I saw all sides of them, blah blah blah. They're like it's almost a good guy that you think is going to help the nuns out, and he goes back and is like, listen, the army's coming, like you don't understand, like you guys, you have to do something. And then that's when like your plan comes in effect, and the nuns come out with the person, and it's as a werewolf, and it's like, it was one of your own men, he was here first, he did all this shit. And they're like, no,
they're preaching like the sight of God has revealed the demon within your numbers. We hand him over to your holy wisdom.
Yeah.
And the priest is just like, cool. Thanks. Thanks, babe.
We'll
take it from here.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Thanks,
and then that's a bummer ending.
But yeah, because maybe you're like,
live.
So they have like the soldier. Maybe he's not even in wolf form yet. They have the soldier and they go, it was this guy. And the soldier's like, what are you taught? Like, no, blah, blah. And it's like, that's one of our guys. And they go, do your test, do whatever test you have to do. And they test him. And obviously that's when he turns into a wolf. And then they like, I guess, tranquilize him. However you do that back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Knock him out.
He has some herb that knocks out werewolves in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can make up our own rules. Like, yeah.
Wolf's Bane.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. We did it.
If it's in powder and blown into the snoot of a werewolf, it'll knock them out for exactly 9 hours. Okay, so now we have a good ending. So we need that sympathetic character /2 from the first group of men. Second group of men are all pretty much slaughtered people, right? So they don't we don't really have a thing in there.
One of the groups is just a movie sacrifice, where it's just they are only there to get ripped apart.
Yeah, whole bunch of red shirts in that second group. Third group has a priest in it, which we would need to kind of flesh out, as well as maybe one of the two escapees from the first group is back with the third group. The other escapee went all the way to the army or whatever, to the main core person. So of all of the nuns, we'll say like 2 to 3 have like actual, like, developed storylines, because they're all just, they want to be left alone. They just want to do their thing. So you have the one that is like the religious leader, like you said, the one that is like the alpha wolf leader, who's like the pack boss, which I guess is more like the fighting boss.
Yeah, the one everybody looks to for the tough decisions.
Yeah. And then there's always the random...
You have mom and you have tough mom.
Yeah. And then you have like the random third one that is most likely the tough mom, secondhand person who tries to keep things cool between everyone and who does a lot of the communications between everybody.
You have the young one who you think is going to be the love interest for the sympathetic soldier.
Oh, yeah. And then maybe the one who like is a little horned up a little bit, but only really just to kill people. But the guys are like, no, she's flirting with me. And they're like, trust us. You can't handle that.
The bloodthirsty one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They call her Temper Nun.
Yeah. And then we would just need probably two of the people in the third group. One being the priest.
Yeah.
Not the other one being like the runaway guy. Another guy, just because. Because
you need know if we need another character in that group. Because if we already know the one who escapes and alerts them to the presence, when we see them again, it's going to be him leading the group, and then the priest is going to be the one he's talking to.
Okay. And
so, it's like a kind of like we transition the second group person into the third group as their other voice.
Cool. Yeah, I'm into that.
That way we cut down on characters a little bit.
All right. So I think that's a pretty solid list of characters. We know roughly what the nuns are looking for. And I think we roughly know what these soldiers are looking for, right? Yeah, so the first group is just a-holes. Second group follows the footsteps of the first group. They're not as big of a-holes, but they still have to die. Third group comes because of the runaways from the first group. So yeah, so we understand most of their motives, right?
Yeah.
And we have the setting down.
Yeah, I mean, single location pretty much, except for the desert.
Yeah. And then we have that army thing close to the end.
I don't even think we need to leave the convent for any of this.
Well, like that, there would need to be like that last interaction between some people and the nuns when they hand over that army guy.
I assume the third group was on the way to the convent, and it just happens there.
Oh, so the third group is the one who
with the priest.
Oh, okay.
Because they were found or located by the one who escapes, and then they are led back to the convent. They're monsters. The nuns, they looked like women, but they turned into beasts and devoured people whole. And you're not going to believe me. And it's like, son, you're speaking to a man of God, and I know you speak true. I have all these silver bullets for more than just decoration.
Yeah. All right. So do you think what we have is feature length as far as the arcs and the plots?
I mean, there would need to be some stuff in between the scenes of like killing people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's maybe something to figure out next time.
Well, so like what kind of stuff do you think? What kind of stuff are you talking about?
Well, there's always
random scenes.
So this is effectively a reverse home invasion movie. A bunch of people go to a place, they get locked in. The people who live there are the killers.
Right.
And in home invasion movies, there are always like the personal storylines that they talk about in between the scenes of action.
Okay. Okay. So that's something we're going to work on next time. So it's what these women were working on before the first group of men show up. What their issues are to begin with. And then maybe just do our beat sheet and try to figure out the rough plot points.
Oh yeah. And that, I mean, this is a pretty simple story. I think we can probably do that in one episode.
All right, cool. So then, we'll definitely wrap this up next week. So thanks everyone for listening and paying attention, because we love your attention. We like being looked at and listened to. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to the people that I mentioned in the middle. Red Flanagan, Tanya Sheck, Sarah Tkachuk, and you know who you are, Scott Curtis, Dwoskin, all you turds. But yeah, if you want to hear what we do, check out Some Nobodies. Open up whatever you got, type in Some Nobodies. You'll see Create Your Own Pod Venture. You'll see Silicon Angels. You'll see podcast show. You'll see Talking Upstream. You'll see this thing. You'll see No Time to Binge. You'll see PowerPoint Showdown. You'll see a whole bunch of weird stuff. We literally cannot stop talking. And it's all thanks to you, because we're doing it just to make you giggle a little bit. So thank you. Dylan, my friend, do you have anything you want to say to anybody before we get out of here?